In your book, you describe altruism, and you criticize the typical materialist worldview held by people like Richard Dawkins and things like that, of this idea of a selfish gene, which doesn't make any sense in that we see altruistic behavior in humans. Can you explain altruism and where that comes from?
Yeah. I think that Dawkins' discussion of the selfish gene is a little bit different.
Right.
I think what he's talking about is that evolution is driven by genes acting for their benefit, not for the organism's benefit.
Right.
But there's something called psychological egoism, I think it was called, that suggests that we can never actually be completely altruistic. We can never take actions that are completely for the benefit of somebody else. And here's some examples. And I don't believe that, and I argue against that in the book.
Right.
But here's some examples of it. Let's say a friend asks me for a loan, $100, and I give it to him. And I might say, what a great guy I am. I gave my friend $100 for his benefit. So I might argue, well, you benefited from that because you strengthened the friendship, or you gave yourself a reputation for generosity.
Right.
Or you avoided the guilt if you hadn't given it to him. Or you may have some value that it's a good thing to help out friends, and by living up to that value, it gave you a warm feeling, and on and on and on. And people say that when we make decisions, we weigh the pros and cons, and we only act when the pros outweigh the cons. And so that is inherently selfish. I don't think I put this I'm not sure if I put this in the book. It might have been one of those things my editor cut. But there's a story about Abraham Lincoln.
I don't think that was in there.
Yeah, he was making this argument. He was riding along in a coach with somebody, making this argument, and he stops, and there's some baby pigs who are drowning in a pond, and the mother is frantic, and he gets out of the coach and he saves the pigs. And the guy he's talking to says, hey, your action right there just disproved your argument. You did something that gave you no benefit whatsoever. And Lincoln said, no, because if I had just passed them by, I would have felt guilty all day long. And so I did it for myself.
Right.
So what I argue in the book is that may be true about the conscious ego. But sometimes we just get this urge to act generously. And it doesn't involve a weighing of the pros and cons. We don't even think about it. We just act on that urge and we give. And that's the unconscious mind driving our behavior. And the unconscious mind doesn't weigh the pros and cons. It's able to act altruistically.
So the truly altruistic behavior comes from that unconscious mind, that animalistic, you said, style of thinking. And those instances of altruism are just sporadic, because if we were to consciously choose those things, it would be in some way selfish.
It would in some way be selfish. That's right. And that's because evolution molded our brains to both act in our individual interest, because that's going to help us pass along our genes to the next generation, but also to act in the interest of the group. Because when individuals cooperate together, it increases the likelihood of survival for everyone in the group. It doesn't matter how big, strong, or smart you are. You're not going to hunt, build, or fight for territory as well as a smoothly functioning team. And so built into our genes is this desire for us to make sacrifices to keep the team functioning smoothly.